On the cold night of January 10th, 1992, in Madison, Indiana, 12-year-old Shanda Sharer had no idea her life was about to come to a brutal and tragic end. A bubbly, energetic middle schooler, Shanda was adjusting to a new school and had become involved in a romantic relationship with another girl, Amanda Heavrin. What she didn't realize was that her new connection had stirred a dangerous obsession in Amanda's jealous ex-girlfriend, 16-year-old Melinda Lovelace. Melinda had been dating Amanda for over a year, and their relationship had been intense, volatile, and, at times, abusive. When Amanda began spending more time with Shanda, Melinda felt replaced, consumed by rage and heartbreak. She started plotting revenge, not just to scare Shanda, but to eliminate her completely. Over the following weeks, Melinda voiced her anger to friends, darkly joking about hurting Shanda. Most took it as talk, teenage posturing. But on that January night, Melinda's fantasies turned deadly when she enlisted 3 other teenage girls to carry out what would become one of the most heinous acts of juvenile violence in American history. Lori Tackett, 17, was already known for erratic behavior and fascination with the occult. Hope Rippey, 15, and Toni Lawrence, 15, were quieter girls, both struggling with their own trauma and family dysfunctions. That night, the 4 girls met in New Albany, Indiana. Melinda brought a knife and detailed her plan to confront Shanda. The others listened, some with discomfort, but none of them stopped what was already in motion. Using Amanda's name as bait, they lured Shanda out of her father's house under the pretense that Amanda wanted to see her. It was around midnight when they arrived. Shanda was reluctant at first, but eventually got into the car with them, thinking she'd have a chance to talk to Amanda. What followed was not a drive to see a friend, but a slow descent into horror. The girls drove Shanda to the Witch's Castle, a dilapidated stone structure in the woods near the Ohio River, a local hangout rumored to be haunted. There, Melinda confronted her, pulled out the knife, and began threatening her. Shanda, terrified, begged to be taken home, but her pleas fell on deaf ears. Over the next several hours, the girls took turns psychologically and physically torturing her. They tied her up, taunted her, beat her, and humiliated her. Melinda, driven by jealousy and rage, was especially cruel, taking joy in each act of violence. Later, they drove Shanda to Tackett's house. There, in the garage, the torture escalated. They choked her with a rope until she passed out, then revived her only to beat her again. Shanda's body was battered, her face swollen beyond recognition, but she was still alive. When they finally decided to end it, they stuffed her into the trunk of their car and drove to a remote rural area near a field. As the sun began to rise on January 11th, they poured gasoline over Shanda's broken body and set her on fire. One of the girls later claimed they heard her screaming as the flames consumed her. In a chilling display of indifference, the girls went to McDonald's for breakfast afterward, laughing about the smell of burning flesh. They cleaned up and even spent time with friends later that day, as if nothing had happened. But guilt and panic soon took hold. Toni Lawrence, deeply disturbed by what had happened, broke down and confessed to her parents, who immediately contacted the police. Within days, all 4 girls were arrested. The community of Madison was shattered. The details of the crime, revealed through police reports and later courtroom testimony, were nearly too much to bear. A 12-year-old girl had suffered unimaginable cruelty at the hands of her peers, girls not much older than she was. The case made national headlines. People struggled to comprehend how 4 teenagers, all girls, could commit such a sadistic crime. The trial uncovered disturbing backgrounds. Melinda had been sexually abused by her father. Lori had experienced extreme mental health issues and alleged satanic delusions, and both Toni and Hope had endured trauma of their own. Because of the brutality involved, all 4 were tried as adults. They eventually accepted plea deals. Melinda and Lori received 60-year sentences. Hope was sentenced to 60 years with 10 suspended, and Toni, who had participated the least, was sentenced to 20 years. Shanda's parents, devastated beyond words, struggled to move forward. Her mother, Jackie Vaught, channeled her grief into advocacy. Over time, in a remarkable act of forgiveness, she met with and forgave Hope Rippey, believing that healing could only begin by confronting the pain directly. Jackie later became a speaker on the issues of juvenile crime, abuse cycles, and the need for reform in how society treats at-risk youth before they become perpetrators. The murder of Shanda Sharer remains one of the most senseless and shocking crimes in U.S. history, not only for its brutality, but for the age and gender of those involved. It raised haunting questions. What went wrong in the lives of these girls? Could it have been prevented? And how do we reconcile the innocence of youth with the capacity for evil? Years later, when asked about their daughter, Shanda's parents often described her laughter, her bright eyes, and her dreams of becoming a teacher. Those dreams were stolen in the dead of night, in an act that showed the darkest potential of human cruelty. But in the aftermath, her name became more than a headline. It became a symbol of the urgent need to listen, to intervene, and to remember that even the youngest hearts can carry unbearable pain, and sometimes that pain turns to tragedy when no one sees it coming.